The headlines: Reps Minority Caucus calls for an overhaul of the nation's security architecture in State of the Nation's address. Stakeholders advocate legislative action to combat child labor and recruitment into armed conflict. 10th House of Representatives reels out achievements of its mandate in 3 years. Good evening and welcome to NTA Parliament News. I'm Deborah Olumayowa. Now the news in detail. The Nigerian Customs Service has clarified at an investigative hearing of the Senate Committee on Public Accounts that the 62.2 billion naira classified as under remittance by Customs in 2017 was the total amount of levies collected on behalf of other agencies, which were not meant for remittance into the Federation account. The clarification was in response to an audit query by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation dating back to 2019. The Comptroller General of the Customs, Bashir Adeniyi, explained that most levies are remitted to the Federation account, except those on local production of wheat, textiles, wines, and other designated products.
When we read through most of the queries, we discovered that a good number of them were due to either misclassification or misunderstanding. The amount of 62 billion are levies, different levies that are collected by Nigeria Customs Service on behalf of some other agencies of government as part of fiscal policy. Remittance in customs is not a matter of choice. By our accounting system, which has been digitalized, once money comes into the Federation account, it is swept automatically by the end of the business day. So the question of non-remittance may not arise.
What the Secretariat and Auditor General need to do is to confirm this submission to us so that this issue will be cleared.
The management of the Nigeria Customs Service is to meet soon with a subcommittee to reconcile all issues erroneously captured in the audit report. The Minority Caucus of the House of Representatives has condemned the death of retired Major General Rabi Abubakar while in terrorist captivity in Katsina State, urging collective efforts to bring an end to the spate of abductions and banditry in the country. Addressing National Assembly correspondents on the state of the nation, the House Minority Caucus called for an overhaul of the national security architecture, as well as urgent military operations to rescue the abducted school children and their teachers in Oyo State. The caucus also criticized the recent court ruling ordering the due registration of some political parties, insisting that politics must take a back seat until the government takes drastic measures to address insecurity.
The nation therefore requires funding on security intelligence, not propaganda. Improve welfare for frontline troops and not wildcards for appointees. On Oyo abduction, launch a special military operation within 72 hours to rescue the school children and their teachers. No excuses at all. On General Rabi, a full, transparent investigation into this abduction and murder. The nation deserves to know how terrorists now kill generals with impunity. On INEC/judiciary, the Chief Justice of Nigeria must wade into the conflicting judgments on party registration to save the judiciary from further embarrassment. On governance, President Tinubu must suspend all 2027 political activities and declare a 6-month national security and economic recovery plan.
Meanwhile, stakeholders have advocated stringent legislative action to combat child labor and the recruitment of children into armed conflicts across Nigeria. This came to the fore during a policy dialogue workshop on strategies against child recruitment organized by the Legislative Center for Security Analysis, NANS, in collaboration with the Exeter Center for Research in Africa, University Exeter. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
Child exploitation in situations of armed conflict remains one of the most troubling dimensions of insecurity in Nigeria and in the sub-region. Against this backdrop, the two institutes brought the idea of policy dialogue to chart ways with lawmakers in strengthening legal frameworks, improve oversight of security institutions, and support agencies responsible for child protection.
Let me reiterate that the challenge before us is significant, but it is not insurmountable. With the right mix of political will, institutional capacity, and collaborative action, we can safeguard the rights and future of our children.
A lot of the child criminal violence and the recruitment of these young men and women into terrorism, cults, and violent groups has its roots in the failure of the state to make sure that the economy and society works and that there is a future.
So one of the things we need to look at are the intersections between local specific challenges and these broader global trends and developments. So we're looking at different traditions of child soldiering, from colonial traditions, communist traditions, and various Islamic traditions as well.
Key players are optimistic that collaboration between security agencies, social services, civil society organizations, and international partners, Nigeria and other African countries could overcome the challenge. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
3 years ago, members of Nigeria's 10th House of Representatives entered the Green Chamber with promises to improve the economy, strengthen security, and deepen accountability. Since then, more than 1,000 bills have been introduced, with more than 30 passed into law. How much impact are these efforts having on the lives of Nigerians? Ignatius Nkwo reports.
For many Nigerians facing economic and security challenges, decisions taken in the House of Representatives can make a real difference.
We have done so well. A lot of bills, motions put in place are impactful. There are bills and motions that will affect directly Nigerians.
Since its inauguration in June 2023, the House has pursued an ambitious legislative agenda, passing key bills including the tax reform bills, National Minimum Wage Amendment Bill, and amendments to the Electricity and Electro Acts. On security, the House pushed for stronger responses to banditry and kidnapping, culminating in the passage of the State Police Establishment Bill, considering major constitutional amendment proposals, including reserved seats for women.
Fund bill that helps students' loans. It's public knowledge that the House of Representatives is very disposed to the state police, creation of the state police. The appropriation acts, we've always acted on them, but bills, made sure they are passed.
I want this 10th Assembly to consider those bills that more women should be included in the sphere of affairs. The 10th Assembly should consider it and pass the bill.
Beyond lawmaking, it has intensified oversight, summoning ministries, departments, and agencies to account for public funds.
The executive has been cooperating with the legislature during this 10th Assembly in carrying out our oversight functions. I must say that there has been a cordial relationship between both arms of government.
Oversight and public hearing has been good. Couple of legislators, members that have been appointed to head some of these committees are people that are thoroughly selected.
This 10th Assembly has not been very active. I don't know, maybe I've not been listening to the news, but they have not been very active in terms of investigative and oversight function.
Well, as the final countdown begins, expectations are still high among Nigerians. Will the 6th constitutional alteration cross the finish line with the 10th Assembly? Answers to this question will be known by June 2027. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Joining us to provide insight into the progress of the 10th Assembly is the Chairman, House Committee on Public Petitions, Representative Kwamoti Lowry. Welcome to NTA Parliament News.
Thank you very much.
3 years after inauguration, what would you identify as the most significant legislative achievements of the 10th National Assembly, and how have these directly improved the lives of ordinary Nigerians?
First of all, I have to thank Nigerians for reposing their confidence in us, for finding us worthy to, to be elected to represent them from our various constituencies. And of course, it has been a 3 year of impactful representation, and here at the House of Representatives and at the National Assembly per se, we have done a lot of work that needs some commendation. Of course, there are still more to be done, but when you look at what we have achieved so far, you said yes, there are certain legislation that we have passed that have direct bearing on the development and progress of this country. Let's take, for instance, the Development Commission laws that we have passed here. Actually, before it was limited, but now almost every zone, we have made sure that every zone is represented with a development commission. And, it is now cascading the development to all the regions, and for them to have an equal development and access to development. I think that is very fundamental, and it's quite commendable.
Do you think the political season and the build-up to the next general election will affect the business of lawmaking and governance?
Of course, this work is a continuum. Of course, the political atmosphere, of course, is charged, but it's just only for a specific period, because the Independent National Electoral Commission has a time frame within which activity will be carried out. And of course, that is what we are following. We cannot go outside that. So, of course, when it is a period, when it is time for doing one activities, of course, you will see as if things have come to a halt. But you cannot put a government on hold because of political activities. Things are going, but because of the movement, it will appear as if nothing is happening or nothing is going on. Things are moving. Government and governance cannot stop. And also, I want to draw attention specifically to the bill before us, the amendment of the Electoral Act, which is ongoing. There are various aspects of the Electoral Act that needs to be tinkered with, and of course the amendments are ongoing, and some of them will be passed before the next election, and of course some of them after the elections. So these are areas that this National Assembly is looking at. Wherever we find a lacuna, wherever we find an inadequacies in terms of application of the law, it is our responsibility to ensure that we amend it so as to be in line with what people want and what will make this, make us to have credible elections, which we are doing, and we cannot shy away from taking on our responsibilities.
Okay, how can Nigerians leverage the Public Petitions Committee to seek redress on issues affecting them?
The rules of the House is for you to bring your petition through a member so that it can be read on the floor, and it's to be laid, and then it will now be referred to the Committee on Public Petition for the committee to handle that petition. We receive plethora of petitions through that method, and also you can directly write your petition to the Speaker, and also the Speaker will do the needful and refer it to the Committee on Public Petition. But the most easier way is to get any member and say, look, I have this petition, and then he will now present it on the floor, and then it will now be referred to the Committee on Public Petitions for it to handle the matter. So Nigerians are welcome with their petitions. But also, I will say that there are certain petitions that are not supposed to come to the National Assembly because they are not within the purview of the National Assembly. Some of these petitions ought to be taken to the State Assembly, but some people will still be making mistakes of bringing them here, to the National Assembly, because some of them are state matters, which the National Assembly don't handle state matters. It's supposed to be handled by the same committee at the state level. But you still find people coming here. Of course, when this happens, sometimes we call the parties and see how we can resolve those issues to them. And if not, then we can tell them, look, we have to refer it to the appropriate committee at the state level to go handle this matter.
Many thanks for your thoughts and insights.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to NTA Parliament News. Still on the third legislative year of this administration, the Anambra State 8th House of Assembly is officially marking its 3-year milestone under the leadership of the Speaker, Somtochukwu Udeze. With 45 bills passed and a focus on governance reforms, the House is reflecting on its journey so far. Daniel Upai reports.
X-raying the journey so far, the Speaker Udeze revealed that out of the 45 bills passed, 42 have already been signed into law by Governor Chukwuma Soludo. He emphasized the commitment of legislative independence while partnering the executive to clean up obsolete laws, some dating back to the military era.
What you are here to do is to bring in changes that will enable the state to flow.
3 landmark bills have defined the legacy of the 8th Anambra Assembly over the last 3 years. The Homeland Security Law, which establishes the Agone Chamber Security Outfit to fight kidnapping and cultism. The Electricity Law, which opens the doors for independent power generation across the state. And the Local Government Administration Law, designed to shield local council from administrative collapse and fix financial accountability.
And these 3 years in office is purely 3 years of service. It's purely 3 years of legislation. Legislating all these activities of the executive that you are seeing today. Too many executive bills that passed through this house were all sponsored by myself, and almost all the whole bills duly passed through the process of the House, a series of debates, convincing the House and other colleagues of mine, irrespective that we have 4 political parties at the floor of the House.
But the journey has not been without friction. The House faces ongoing hurdles, ranging from managing deep political party differences within the chambers to the massive logistical task of reviewing over 200 outdated laws. Yet, the prospect looked tech-driven. The Assembly is on track to fully digitize its proceedings with a new digital library set to launch within the next 3 months.
As Speakers Forum, I think we're working in partnership with some agencies to do that. In that notwithstanding, I think it's part of what is still on my table for us to see how to digitalize this place.
As the 8th Assembly enters its final stretch, the focus shifts on how these 42 new laws will translate into everyday security and economic relief for the people of Anambra State. From the Anambra State House of Assembly, Daniel Okbai, NTA News.
Similarly, the third legislative session of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly has officially come to an end, with significant achievements in lawmaking and the consideration of bills aimed at advancing the state's development. The Speaker, Udeme Otong, emphasizes that the 8th Assembly has been productive and focused on the needs of the people and the state's progress over the past 3 years. Assembly correspondent Nsika Okon has details.
The Speaker Udeme says the House passed 44 bills in the first session, 27 bills in the second session, and 42 bills in the third session, stating that 88 motions were considered and deliberated upon within the first session of this Assembly. Mr. Tong also says the second session considered 57 motions, while 58 motions were also considered during the third session.
I'm proud that this House has maintained a culture of mutual respect, constructive dialogue, and collective responsibility. We have demonstrated that robust debates can coexist with unity of purpose, and that political diversity needs not become a barrier to development. As a representative of the people, we have never lost sight of the enormous trust reposed in us.
The Speaker attributes this result to the unity, cooperation and dedication of Assembly members, reiterating that the Assembly has consistently prioritized the interests of the people through effective lawmaking, oversight and representation.
As we look ahead to the future, we must remain focused on strengthening our legislative capacity, embracing innovations, promoting inclusiveness, and advancing policies that will improve the lives of our people in Akwa Ibom State. The journey ahead presents new opportunities and challenges. However, I am confident that with unity, vision, integrity, and commitment, this Assembly will continue to rise to every occasion and leave the lasting legacies of service and excellence.
The Speaker also acknowledged the visionary leadership and developmental efforts of Governor Umaino, noting that through constructive collaboration and mutual respect with different arms of government, lawmakers have cultivated an environment conducive for growth and progress. Nsika Okon, NTA News.
Still from Uyo, lawmakers in the State House of Assembly are calling on Nigerians to embrace love and unity while renewing their commitment to democratic values of transparency, tolerance, and respect for the rule of law. Assembly correspondent Nsikak Okon reports.
While congratulating Nigerians on 27 years of uninterrupted democratic governance in the country, the Speaker of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Udemotong, reminds Nigerians not to forget the sacrifices made by patriotic citizens who fought for freedom, justice, national unity and inclusion. He says democracy is not only about elections, but also about good governance, love and unity, and improving the lives of the people. Elder Tom congratulates the State Governor Umoino for the massive infrastructural development in the state and the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his commitment to building a better Nigeria.
Without democracy, all this dividend of democracy that is touching a lot of people would have been possible. So we'll continue to forge ahead to make sure democracy is sustained, democracy is maintained, democracy continues to thrive. And as a speaker, we'll continue to forge ahead and work together to make sure democracy is sustained in Nigeria.
Some lawmakers, while commenting on the impact of democracy, say, aside from the freedom of expression and political participation, democracy ensures that laws apply equally to all citizens.
Without the freedom of speech, the promotion of fundamental human rights of citizens, there is no democratic governance. And so today, the judiciary is working very well to show that there is democracy. The institution of the parliament is working very well to show the democracy. And of course, fundamental human rights, supremacy of law are also seen to be practiced in our state. So I can say without any controversy that is democracy needs to be celebrated.
Everything we are doing as a state is positively reflecting in all the things that we have found or we have seen in terms of infrastructure, in terms of lawmaking, that has affected positively the people of Akwa Ibom State.
The lawmakers assure Akwa Ibom people and Nigerians at large of their continued commitment to make laws that will better the lives of the people. Nsika Okon, NTA News.
And from Kaduna State, the State Assembly has passed a bill establishing the Kaduna State Center for Disease Control, KDCDC, aimed at strengthening the state's preparedness and response to disease outbreaks and other public health emergencies. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports.
As the world confronts an era of emerging diseases, stakeholders and government are making effort to enhance public health system and emergency response mechanisms. In Kaduna State, the State Assembly lawmakers have taken a decisive step passing a bill to establish the Kaduna State Center for Disease Control, KDCDC.
To establish the State Center for Disease Control and Prevention, KDCDC 2026, is hereby passed into law.
Legislation, which secured overwhelming support during plenary session, creates a legal framework for disease prevention, preparedness, and rapid response.
Bill now, a center will be formed where all these things will manage immediately without any delay. And you know when these outbreaks are coming, they don't announce. And it is unfair to say that Kaduna today is free of all these diseases that needs to be controlled. So, but with the establishment of this center, I think Kaduna State has moved not even one step, 3 steps ahead of other areas.
The officials say the new center will enhance the state's ability to safeguard its citizens and manage health emergencies swiftly. Meanwhile, a separate report concerning the agency's structure and advertising was returned by the Assembly for amendments. It is expected to be resubmitted for review next week. In Kaduna, I'm Muhammad Umrajinki, NTA News.
And that concludes NTA Parliament News. You can follow us for this and other programs on our social media handles displayed on your screen. Thanks for watching. I'm Deborah Ulumayewa. Bye for now.